During my expedition to Zambia, I've had the opportunity to learn a great deal about canopies and pickups. I've owned one myself, but my experience has been a little bit limited, and this vehicle with this Bushtec canopy and the 2 weeks that I'm now spent with it has taught me a great deal. One of the things that is critical with canopies is trying to keep out dust. Now, when we fitted the canopy, we applied a lot of sealant and foam to the load bay itself. We also did quite a bit of work to the tailgate. Okay, particularly the bottom tailgate and the areas around here where we added automotive rubber seals, foam down there, along here, and of course on the side as well. It helped a lot, and it did exclude a lot of dust, I am sure, but a lot of dust still got in. That is why it is far better to plastic coat the inside of the vehicle, and although we sealed the inside in very many places, dust still got in. But one of the problems is when a canopy gets a bit old, it starts to get dust starts to get in underneath the seal all around it. This is common with most canopies. Most canopy makers use a foam, a open cell foam in this area, and the trouble is with open cell foam, it has a memory. So when it is crushed as the canopy is mounted, then it sets. Canopies are not particularly flexible. It's not a flexible shape. It doesn't allow a lot of flex. But the way vehicles are actually built, they are designed to flex. If the canopy is mounted too rigidly onto the body will flex, the canopy won't, something's going to give. The first thing that's going to give is the rubber seal. It's going to be squashed, crushed, or stretched. Eventually, something's going to crack. So that's why canopy makers put foam in here. It's not just for sealing, it's also to allow for flex. But now here's the thing. After a while, the foam gets a memory. It actually has a memory. And you can actually see here, if I point down here, this is the kind of foam that's been put in. Okay, this foam here is an open cell foam, and it has a memory, and you can see it's already got a shape. That has been it's been squeezed between that area there, it seals between there and this moving tailgate. If that same foam is used in the application here, well then the same thing is going to apply. It's going to get a memory. So if it gets a memory and this starts flexing, eventually you're going to get a gap. So what a lot of canopy owners do is they just tighten it up. The trouble is with that is it does help to reduce the gap and reduce dust, but only for a period, because it then will get crushed even more and the memory will set in, so the problem will persist. But worse than that, it bolts the canopy to the vehicle frame and doesn't allow for flex. So this flexes, the vehicle flexes, and the canopy doesn't, and normally the canopy cracks. So cracking canopies are not necessarily, in fact mostly, they're not about a badly built canopy at all. They're about a badly maintained mounting or badly designed mounting, and that's the main problem. So if you have a canopy and it is starting to leak dust in the actual mounting itself, then replace the rubber, don't tighten it. It's not going to help. If it helps a little bit, it'll help for a very short time. The Bushtec, they're their canopy, they're using an unusual, and it's not an unusual product, but it's unusual for canopy makers. They don't use foam. They don't use the closed cell foam, and they tell me that that's why this doesn't have a rubber. This is the similar or same profile as used on doors in motorcars. If you have a look at the inside of any door of a car, you will see they don't use foam. They use rubber, and it's actually got, just go out to any vehicle and you'll see it's not foam. Okay, they don't use foam because foam has a memory. They could use a closed cell foam, which is extremely expensive, but not even as good as this. So my suggestion is, if your canopy is getting a little bit tired in terms of it's getting a little bit of dust in, take it off, replace the foam with something like this, and don't over tighten it. Absolutely critical. And one of the things that I know that happens in the industry quite a lot is a canopy will be delivered to a fitment center, and the fitment center people, they're not well trained, so they just tighten it. It mustn't be tightened. It must actually have a gap. It must be proud. It must have a space between the canopy body and the vehicle body to allow for flex.